1, 2, 3, come on!
Hi, I'm Teacher Giovanni and welcome to Math TV Lessons channel. The concept of multiplication is not common to us. In fact, we use multiplication in our day-to-day living. Like for example, if you have 10 baskets of apples and each basket has 10 apples, instead of counting them one by one, you can do multiplication. Multiplication is the shortcut way in order for you to make things simple and easy. It is very significant in our life. You know what? You cannot only multiply whole numbers. You can also multiply decimal numbers. Yes, you're right. You heard it right. You can multiply decimal numbers. And today I will discuss to you on how to multiply decimals, but I will divide it into two parts. Multiplication of decimal numbers with whole numbers and multiplication of decimal numbers with two decimal places in our factors. Are you excited to learn today? So let's go. Let's start our lesson. Our topic today has two parts. Multiplication of decimals up to two decimal places by 1 to 2-digit whole numbers. And multiplication of decimals with factors up to 2 decimal places. Multiplying decimals is very important in our daily activities. It tells us the exact amount of money to be paid, especially if we buy few pieces of one kind of item. In the same way, it helps us tell the total weight of two or more objects having the same weight. Multiplying decimals is made easy if you have a thorough understanding on multiplication of whole numbers and that you have mastered the basic multiplication facts. To multiply decimals, multiply them like whole numbers, then count the number of decimal places in the factors and annex the same decimal places in the product. Let's have problem number 1. Grace can walk a distance of 5 kilometers in 1 hour. At the same rate, how far can she walk in 7/10 of an hour? How far can Grace walk in an hour? Based from the problem, Grace can walk a distance of 5 kilometers in 1 hour. How far can she walk in 7/10 of an hour? To find the answer on how far can Grace walk in 7/10 hour, multiply 7/10 by 5. Here are the steps on how to multiply. First, multiply the factors as whole numbers, like this. 7/10 times 5. 5 times 7 is 35. Second is count the number of decimal places in the factors. Let's start from the multiplicand. We only have one decimal place. How about in our multiplier? We don't have decimal places. So we only have one decimal place in the factors. Next step is indicate the same number of decimal places in the product. From the right going to the left, count one decimal place in the product and put the decimal point. So, 7/10 times 5 is equal to 3 5/10. So the final answer is Grace can walk 3 5/10 kilometers in 7/10 of an hour. Let's have problem number 2. In a science class, the learners get the weight of 3 rocks. If each rock weighs 25 hundredths kilogram, what is the weight of 3 rocks? What do the learners weigh? The learners weigh 3 rocks. What is the weight of each rock? Each rock weighs 25 hundredths kilogram. And what is the total weight of the 3 rocks? To find the total weight of 3 rocks, multiply the weight of each rock by 3. This will be 25 hundredths times 3. Let us follow the steps. First, multiply the factors as whole numbers, like this. 25 hundredths times 3. So let's have 3 times 5 is 15. Bring down 5, carry 1. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. 3 times 0 is 0. Then next step is count the number of decimal places in the factors. In the multiplicand, we have 2 decimal places. In our multiplier, we don't have. So, we only have 2 decimal places in the factors. Next step is indicate the same number of decimal places in the product. So, 25 hundredths times 3 equals 75 hundredths. Since we count 2 decimal places from the right going to the left and put the decimal point. So the answer is the total weight of 3 rocks is 75 hundredths kilogram. Let's have problem number 3. Marina uses 65 hundredths meter of cloth to make a throw pillowcase. How many meters of cloth does she need to make 12 throw pillowcases? What does Marina make? Marina makes 12 throw pillowcases. How many meters of cloth does she use in making a throw pillowcases? She uses 65 hundredths meter of cloth for a throw pillowcase. How many meters of cloth does she need in making 12 throw pillowcases? To solve the number meters of the cloth she needs for 12 pillowcases, let's multiply 65 hundredths and 12. Step number 1, multiply like you do with whole numbers. So it looks like this. 65 hundredths times 12. 2 times 5 is 10. Bring down 0, regroup 1. Then 2 times 6 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. So the answer is 130. Then 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 6 is 6. So the answer or the partial product is 65, and then we are going to add. Bring down 0. 3 plus 5 is 8. 1 plus 6 is 7. So the answer is 780. Is this the final answer? No, because we still have decimal places. In our multiplicand, we have 2 decimal places, and we don't have decimal places in our multiplier. So we only have 2 decimal places in the factors. Then, indicate the same number of decimal places in the product. So what are you going to do? You are going to count 2 decimal places from the right going to the left. So this will be 7 and 80 hundredths, but we can cancel 0 here. So the final answer is 7 and 8 tenths. So Marina needs 7 and 8 tenths meters of cloth for 12 throw pillowcases. So we are now done in the first part of our topic today, which is multiplication of decimals with whole numbers. But this time, we will multiply decimals with factors up to 2 decimal places. Let's have problem number 1. Mang Ramon harvests 8/10 kilogram of eggplants in his backyard. His wife cooks 4/10 of them for breakfast. How many eggplants does his wife cook? How many kilograms of eggplants does Mang Ramon harvest? So Mang Ramon harvests 8/10 kilograms of eggplants. What part of the eggplants does his wife cook? His wife cooks 4/10 of eggplants harvested. How many kilograms of eggplants does his wife cook? To find the number of kilograms of eggplants that his wife cooks, multiply 8/10 by 4/10. First, write the factors in vertical form, like this. 8/10 times 4/10. Then, step number 2, multiply like you do with whole numbers. So, 4 times 8 is 32. Then, step number 3, count the number of decimal places in the factors. So, we only have 2 decimal places in the factors. We have 1 in our multiplicand and 1 also in our multiplier. So, we will indicate the same number of decimal places in the product. Write 0 after the decimal point to indicate that there is no whole number. So, let's count 2 decimal places from the right going to the left. So, that is 0.32. But remember, we have to write 0 after the decimal point to indicate that there is no whole number. So, this will be 0.32 or 32 hundredths. So, the final answer is, his wife cooks 32 hundredths kilogram of eggplants. Problem number 2. Anton walks 95 hundredths of a kilometer to school. Elena walks 3/10 times as far. How far does Elena walk to school? What part of a kilometer does Anton walk to school? Anton walks 95 hundredths of a kilometer in going to school. How many times does Elena walk as far as Anton? Elena walks 3/10 times as far as Anton. How far does Elena walk to school? To get the answer on how far Elena walks to school, let's multiply 95 hundredths and 3/10. First, write the factors in vertical form like this. Multiply like you do with whole numbers. So, 3 times 5 is 15. Bring down 5. Regroup 1. 3 times 9 is 27. 27 plus 1 is 28. Do we still have a digit to multiply? No. So the answer is 285. Is this your final answer? No, because we still have decimal places in our factors. So count the number of decimal places in the factors. We have 2 decimal places in our multiplicand and we have 1 decimal place in our multiplier. So all in all, that is 3 decimal places in the factors. So let's indicate the same number of decimal places in the product by counting the number of decimal places from the right going to the left. So let's count 3 times. So the answer is 0.285 or 285 thousandths. Why did we put 0 after decimal point? Because it indicates that there is no whole number. So our final answer is Elena walks 285 thousandths kilometer to school. Let's have problem number 3. Arnold has a small garden plot. What is the area if the length is 85 hundredths meter and the width is 45 hundredths meter? What is the length of the garden? The length of the garden is 85 hundredths meter. What is the width? The width of the garden is 45 hundredths meter. To find its area, we are going to multiply the length by its width. First, write the factors in vertical form, like this. 85 hundredths times 45 hundredths. Multiply like you do with the whole numbers. So 5 times 5 is 25. Bring down 5, regroup 2. 5 times 8 is 40. Plus 2 is 42. Then, let's multiply 4 times 5 is 20. Bring down 0, regroup 2. 4 times 8 is 32. Plus 2 is 34. Then we are going to add the partial products. Bring down 5. 2 plus 0 is 2. 4 plus 4 is 8. Bring down 3. So the answer is 3,825. But this is not yet our final answer because we have decimal places in our factors. In our multiplicand, we have 2 decimal places. In our multiplier, we also have 2 decimal places. So all in all, there are 4 decimal places in the factors. So let's count 4 decimal places from the right going to the left to our product. So the answer is 0.3825 or 3,825 ten-thousandths. We write 0 after the decimal point to indicate that there is no whole number. Okay, so we are now done with our lesson about multiplication of decimal, and we learned that multiplication of decimal is the same way in multiplication of whole numbers. I hope that you will never forget. But you have to remember this, that in multiplication of decimal, you have to consider the decimal places in your factors, and you are going to annex the decimal point according to the number of places in your factors. And of course, I hope that you will never forget what you have learned because this is very important lesson. By the way, I'm Teacher Giovanni once again saying that math is minds. Math is not a difficult subject if you're willing to learn. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.